The sky above was dark and filled with 3 glowing moons. A light mist covered the green fields, and strange flying creatures circled in the air. Caleb sat alone beside the broken wreckage of his small ship. Smoke rose from the engines, and sparks flickered weakly. His mission was supposed to be a peaceful and exploration trip to map unknown planets. But a navigation error sent him crashing into this place. He had been on the planet for 2 days. The food supplies were low. His water purifier was half working. He managed to fix part of his beacon, but it still wasn't strong enough to send a clear message. The plants around him glowed faintly, and the air was breathable, but heavy. He wasn't sure what to do next. Then, just as he stood to stretch, he heard footsteps, not 1 or 2, but many. He froze. His hand reached slowly toward the metal bar he kept for protection. From behind the trees came tall figures wearing smooth silver armor and flowing capes. They had purple skin, long fingers, and bright glowing eyes. They didn't speak, pointed strange weapons at him. Caleb raised both hands in peace. "I come in peace," he said quickly. "I'm not here to fight." The guards didn't move for a moment. Then one stepped forward and scanned him with a small device. The scanner beeped and flashed green. They looked at each other, nodded, and lowered their weapons. 2 of them walked over and motioned for him to follow. "Okay, not talking much, huh?" Caleb whispered. They didn't answer. But they weren't rough either. They let him gather a small bag and led him through the glowing forest. The trees sparkled with soft blue light, and strange animal calls echoed around them. After a long walk, they reached a large gate carved into a mountain. It opened with a hiss, and they stepped into a city unlike anything Caleb had seen. The buildings were smooth and curved, made of white stone and gold glass. Floating lights moved through the air, and people walked with grace and silence. No one looked shocked at the sight of a human, but many stared curiously. He was brought into a grand hall, where pillars stretched high into the sky. Seated on a high throne was a young alien woman with a silver crown and long dark hair that shimmered like the stars. Her dress sparkled with flowing patterns, and her eyes were the color of deep oceans. The guard stopped before her and stepped aside. Caleb stood awkwardly, unsure what to do. She studied him closely, her head tilted slightly. "Who are you?" Her voice was calm and smooth, with a strange musical sound. I'm Caleb," he said. "I'm a human. My ship crashed here." "A human," she repeated slowly. "We have only read stories about your kind. This is the first time I see one in person." We rubbed the back of his neck and gave a nervous smile. "Well, I hope I'm a good first impression." She didn't smile. Not yet. Her face stayed calm. The guards seemed tense. Caleb felt the silence pressing down on him. To break it, he blurted out, "Hey, sweetie." The whole room went silent. The guards stiffened. Even the servants froze. Caleb immediately felt his stomach drop. "Sorry, I didn't mean that. I just sometimes say weird stuff when I'm nervous." He tried to explain. The princess blinked slowly. Then, to everyone's shock, a small pink glow rose to her cheeks. She looked away for a moment, then back at him. "Yes, darling," she said softly. Caleb blinked. "Wait, what?" And then it happened. They both laughed. Her laugh was soft and gentle. His was surprised, but happy. The guards looked completely confused. "That was unexpected," she said, still smiling. "Yeah," Caleb said, still amazed. "You have a good laugh. So do you, Caleb of Earth." He was allowed to sit. Food and drink were brought to him. Soft music began to play in the background. The tension faded, and Caleb relaxed for the first time in 2 days. "I am Elia, princess of the Alari people," she said. "This is our home. We call this planet Zarella. It's beautiful," Caleb replied honestly. "Very different from Earth, but beautiful." She nodded. "I want to learn more about your world, and why you said what you did." He laughed. Nervously. "Back home, sweetie and darling are friendly words. We sometimes say them to people we care about, or when we're joking. It wasn't meant to offend." "I was not offended," she said, just surprised. "Our language does not have such casual terms between strangers." "Maybe it won't stay that way," he joked. She tilted her head and smiled again that evening. Caleb was given a small room in the palace. It was clean, warm, and quiet. He looked out the window and saw the stars above, and for the first time since crashing, he didn't feel so alone. As he lay down, he thought about Elia's face when she laughed. Something about her didn't feel cold or distant. She had a gentle kindness in her voice, and he liked how she tried to understand him. Even when things got weird, he whispered, "What a day," and smiled before drifting to sleep. Caleb woke up the next morning to soft chimes ringing in his room. Sunlight passed through the tall window made of glowing crystal. The bed was softer than anything he had ever felt, and a gentle breeze blew in, carrying the scent of flowers that didn't exist on Earth. For a moment, he forgot he was on an alien planet. Then he sat up and remembered everything. His ship, the crash, the glowing trees, the silver-armored guards, and the princess who had blushed when he called her "Sweetie." Caleb shook his head and smiled to himself. "I still can't believe that happened." A soft knock came from the door. It opened slowly, and a short alien woman stepped in. Her skin a pale blue and her eyes kind. "The princess invites you to walk the gardens," she said. "Sure," Caleb said, standing up. "I'd love to." He followed her down long hallways filled with floating lights and murals painted with silver and gold. The palace felt alive, like it hummed gently all around him. When they reached the garden, Caleb stopped in awe. The trees were tall with glowing fruit, and flowers changed colors as the wind touched them. Birds with crystal wings flew between the branches. Princess Elia stood near a small pond looking at her reflection. When she saw him, she turned and smiled. "Good morning, Caleb." "Morning, Princess," he replied. "Please, just Elia." "We are not in court right now." He nodded. "Okay, Elia." She walked beside him, hands gently folded in front of her. They walked slowly through the garden paths. "I've never met someone who made me laugh the way you did," Elia said. "After a while, I didn't plan that," Caleb chuckled. "I just say things without thinking when I'm nervous. And yet it made me feel relaxed. You speak differently, act differently. Is that bad?" "Not at all. It's refreshing." Past a tree with floating seeds that drifted around them like tiny stars. Elia stopped beside a bench made of smooth stone and sat down. Caleb sat beside her. "Your people," she asked, "do they also call strangers sweet names like that?" "Sometimes. It depends on the person. But mostly, it's just our way of being friendly." "Then you are a friendly kind." "What?" "Of us?" Caleb said with a smile. "We have problems too, of course, but we try to make peace when we can. My people don't use such words, not unless it is someone very close, like family, or someone special." "So when you said, 'Yes, darling,' that really surprised everyone?" "Yes," she said, laughing softly. "Some thought I had lost my mind. They laughed again." Caleb liked the sound of her laugh. It wasn't forced. It was light and real. Just then, a group of alien nobles passed by. They wore bright robes and fine jewelry. Their eyes watched Caleb with curiosity, but not all looked pleased. One of them, a tall male with sharp features and golden cuffs, gave a long stare at Caleb and then at Elia. "Who was that?" Caleb asked when they left. "His name is Zoran," she said. "He's a nobleman with much power in court and ambition." Didn't look very friendly. "He isn't," Elia replied. "He believes I should marry for politics, not for peace, and definitely not for friendship." "Does he know we're just friends?" "To someone like Zoran," she said, "a smile is already too much." Kept walking. Later that day, Elia took Caleb to the Knowledge Hall, where floating screens showed maps, languages, and history. She taught him how to read some of their symbols, and he showed her how to write her name in English. Ilwaya, he spelled out, writing it carefully on a small tablet. She looked at the letters. "It looks soft. I like it. Yeah, it suits." They spent hours there, talking about Earth and Alari. Ilya wanted to know what the oceans looked like on Earth, what food tasted like, what children did for fun. Caleb told her about mountains, snow, chocolate, and pets like dogs and cats. "Your world is full of strange things," she said, "and yours is full of wonder." They laughed again. As evening came, Elia walked him back to his room. Outside the door, she paused. "I enjoyed today," she said. "Me too," Caleb replied. "May we laugh together again tomorrow?" He smiled. "Of course, sweetie." Her cheeks turned pink again. She looked at him shyly, then whispered, "Yes, darling." They both laughed, even louder than before. But nearby, in the shadows, Zoran watched. His face was calm, but his eyes were cold. "This human," he said quietly to a servant beside him, "will not stay long. The court will not allow it, and neither will I." The servant nodded. "What shall we do?" "We wait," Zoran said. "The king will see reason soon. I will give him reason." The sun of Zarella rose slowly, casting golden light over the palace towers. Birds with glowing feathers flew between the garden trees, and soft music played from hidden corners of the palace. Caleb woke up to the peaceful sound of water flowing. Near his room, he stretched, feeling well rested. Today felt different, lighter somehow. After breakfast, Elia met him outside the palace gate. She wore a soft white robe with blue symbols running along the edge. Her smile was bright. "Today is special," she said. "What's happening?" Caleb asked. "We're going to the bonding festival." Caleb raised an eyebrow. "Bonding?" "It's a celebration of friendship and trust between our people. We invite those we feel close to, and we share food, stories, and gifts." "One of our oldest traditions? That sounds beautiful." "It is," she said, "and I want you to join me." He smiled. "I'd be honored." Elia led him through the city. People smiled as they walked by. Some nodded in respect, while others whispered to each other in surprise. No one had expected the human guest to be walking beside the princess so freely. Many had doubted he would last more than a few days. As they entered the festival grounds, Caleb's eyes widened. Colorful tents floated in the air. Glowing ribbons waved without wind. Children played with small flying creatures that hummed like bees. Soft drums played, and the scent of sweet fruit and warm spices filled the air. "This is amazing," Caleb said. Eli laughed. "We take our festivals seriously." They sat together in a circle of cushions under a large glowing tree. Trays of food were brought forward, bright blueberries, golden bread, and steaming bowls of thick soup with floating petals. "Here," Elia said, handing Caleb a small bowl filled with a purple fruit covered in sparkling dust. "What's this?" "Called Valora. It's only shared during bonding like a deep trust between two beings," she said. "Friends, family, or those with stronger feelings." Caleb held the bowl, unsure. "You don't have to eat it," she added, sensing his hesitation. He looked into her eyes. They were calm and honest. He took a small bite, tasted sweet and cold, like snow with honey. "That's really good," he said. The people around them watched silently. Leah had just performed one of their most sacred acts, sharing Valora, and she had done it with a human. Ella smiled. "No? You've now taken part in a ritual most Alari never experience." Caleb laughed. "Do I get a badge or something?" "No badge," she said, "but perhaps a special place in my memory." They spent hours at the festival. They played games, listened to old songs, and watched sky dancers spin between the stars above. Elia taught Caleb a simple dance step, and though he stumbled at first, they both laughed as he tried to follow her as the festival ended. A glowing orb rose into the sky and burst into soft light. Caleb stood beside Elia and looked up. "This has been the best day since I got here," he said, "and it's only the beginning," she replied. But far away inside the Grand Council chamber, Zoran stood before the Alari king. His voice was calm but firm. "Your Highness," he said, bowing deeply, "the people speak. They are troubled." "What troubles them?" the king asked. "They do not understand the bond between your daughter and the human. He is kind, yes, but a stranger. He could be hiding something. Our history speaks clearly. Those who come from beyond are not always friends. Caleb has done nothing wrong." "Not yet," Zoran said carefully. "But must we wait for danger to come?" has already taken part in sacred rituals. Next, will he ask for a seat beside the throne? The king frowned. What do you want, Zoran? Send the human home. With thanks and respect, but send him. It is better for all. The king did not answer right away. He waved Zoran away. Leave me. I will think. Back in the palace, Caleb returned to his room, still smiling. He held a small crystal pendant Elia had given him, a sign of friendship. He placed it beside his bed and lay down, staring at the ceiling. Just then, a soft knock came. I come in, of course? She stepped inside, holding something in her hands. It was a flat, round piece of wood with symbols carved on it. What's this? It's a message disc, she said. We record memories on it. I made one for you. He took it carefully. Thank you. I don't really know what to say. You've already said enough, she smiled. They stood silently for a moment. Then, Caleb said, You know, sweetie, I think I'm starting to really like it here. Elia smiled wide. Yes, darling, I'm glad. They both laughed again, just like before. But neither of them knew what was coming next. Zoran wasn't done. And the king's silence meant decisions were being made. Soon everything would change. The next morning, Caleb walked through the palace halls, still thinking about the festival. He smiled as he remembered how Elia had shared the Valora fruit with him. He didn't know the deep meaning behind it at first, but now he understood. They were building something special, something rare. But when he reached the garden, he found Elia waiting alone. Her smile was weak, and her eyes seemed tired. What's wrong? He asked. My father spoke with noble Zoran, she said quietly. They think you should leave. Caleb blinked. Leave? But why? Did I do something wrong? No, she said quickly. You did everything right. But some of them are afraid. They say a human shouldn't take part in royal rituals. He looked down. So because I'm not one of you, I'm not welcome anymore. That's not how I feel, Elia said. She stepped closer. I want you to stay. My father is under pressure. Caleb nodded slowly. When do I have to go? Tonight. Felt a tight pain in his chest. He had survived the crash, learned about a new world, found a friend, maybe more than a friend, and now it was all being taken away. Can I say goodbye to you properly? He asked softly. Elia gave a small smile. We'll meet before you leave. The rest of the day moved slowly. Caleb packed the few things he had. He looked at the crystal pendant she gave him and held it tightly. It still glowed faintly, like it had a little piece of her light inside. As night fell, Elia met him by the same pond where they had walked the first morning. Moonlight touched the water, and the flowers around them glowed gently. I wish things were different. She said, Me too, Caleb whispered. They stood close, looking at each other. I'll never forget you, Elia. Nor will I forget. You, Caleb of Earth. He smiled, though it hurt. Goodbye, sweetie. Tears filled her eyes. Yes, darling, goodbye. A small transport waited at the palace gate. Guards stood quietly, and Caleb climbed in. The doors closed slowly. The vehicle started to move. He looked out the window and saw Elia standing there, watching. She raised her hand. He did the same. The ride was quiet. Caleb's thoughts were loud, though. Too loud. But halfway through the trip, his communicator beeped. It was his beacon. The signal was finally working. Screen lit up, showing a blinking green light. A human voice came through. Explorer 9, this is command. We received your signal. Are you safe? Caleb stared at it for a second. Then he pressed the button. I'm safe. But I need to delay pickup. Something important is happening here. Out the voice paused. Understood. We'll stay on standby. He ended the call and looked at the driver. I need to go back. We are under orders. You'll be under worse if you don't turn this around. Trust me, the driver didn't argue. He turned the vehicle around and headed back to the palace. Meanwhile, inside the grand hall, Zoran stood beside the king. Your Majesty, he said. The people grow restless. They ask why the human was ever allowed to stay. He's leaving tonight, the king said. Good. And now it is time to speak of the princess's future. What do you mean? Zoran stepped forward. You know what the council expects? She must form an alliance through marriage. My family is ready. We can protect the throne. The king looked troubled. I want peace, not control. I'm going to give her to me, Zoran said, and peace will follow. Just then, the doors burst open. Caleb stepped in, breathing hard. Guards raised their weapons, but he lifted his hands. I'm not here to fight, he said, but I had to come back. You were told to leave, the king said, frowning. I know, but something's not right. You dare question our rules, Zoran shouted. No, Caleb said calmly. I'm questioning yours. You speak of protecting the throne, but you only care about power. Elia stepped into the room. Father, let him speak. Caleb looked at her, then at the king. I'm not here to take anything. I didn't ask for any of this, but Elia. She treated me like more than just a stranger. She saw me as a person, someone worth trusting, and I trust her. That's why I came back, because I know something is wrong. Enough of this, Zoran snapped. Throw him out. No, the king said slowly. Not yet. Elia looked at Caleb. What do you... No, Zoran is lying, Caleb said. He's not acting for peace. He's trying to take control of your kingdom. Prove it, Zoran said, laughing. Caleb reached into his bag and pulled out a small device, pressed a button, and a recorded message played a voice, Zoran's voice, whispering to a servant. We wait, the voice said. The king will. See reason soon, or I will give him reason. Gasps filled the hall. The king stood. You threaten me? Zoran turned pale. No, I was only enough, the king shouted. Guards, take him. Zoran tried to run, but the guards moved. Fast. He was caught and dragged away. The hall fell silent. Elia stepped forward. Caleb came back to protect us. He did what no one else dared. The king looked at Caleb. You risked everything. I just couldn't leave her behind, Caleb said. The king nodded slowly. Perhaps I was wrong. Perhaps our people can learn from yours. Caleb turned to Elia. Does this mean I can stay? She smiled brightly. Only if you keep calling me sweetie, he laughed. Yes, darling. For the first time, the whole court laughed with them. The next morning, the palace felt different. The air was lighter, the halls brighter. After Zoran's arrest, the people whispered not with fear but with curiosity and excitement. News of Caleb's return and his bravery had spread across the city. For the first time, humans were not spoken of as distant or dangerous, but as friends. Lay walked with Caleb through the garden. The same glowing flowers that once watched their quiet talks now seemed to bloom wider as they passed. You changed. Everything, Elia said softly. I just told the truth, Caleb replied, and I didn't want to lose you. She looked at him, her eyes warm. You risked your safety to protect me, because you believed in me when no one else did. Sat by the pond again, where they first laughed together. Caleb leaned back, looking up at the pale blue sky. It still feels like a dream, he said. This place, you, everything. It is real, Caleb, and it's only the beginning. A servant approached and bowed. Princess, the High Council, requests your presence in the throne hall. They wish to speak about the future. Elia stood and looked at Caleb. Would you come with me? If you want me there, I'll go anywhere. They entered the grand throne hall. The High Council members stood in a circle, dressed in long robes of silver and deep blue. The Alari king sat on his throne, calm and watching. One council elder stepped forward. Princess Elia, we honor your wisdom. Recent events have opened our eyes. The humans' actions have shown truth, bravery, and respect. Another elder nodded. Yet still, tradition must be followed. The throne must be protected. The people united. Elia spoke clearly. The people are already watching. Seeing what happens when truth is ignored? Caleb helped stop betrayal. He protected me. I trust him more than any noble. A third elder raised a hand. You have shared the Valora with him. This act speaks of great bond. Do you stand by it? Glanced at Caleb, then back. I do, the king stood. Then Let us do what has never been done. Let us ask the people. That afternoon, the city center was filled. Floating screens showed the image of the king and Elia standing before the crowd. Caleb stood beside them, dressed in clean robes, of soft gray offered to him by the palace. The king spoke first. People of Zarella, today we face a choice. We look not just at our past, but toward a future that includes new voices. Elia stepped forward. This human did not come here to rule, came here lost, yet he brought peace, laughter, and trust. I wish to keep that light beside me. A silence followed. Then, slowly, cheers began. One voice, then many. Let him. Stay, the human is welcome. He made the princess laugh. The voices grew louder. Laughter spread through the crowd. They remembered the moment she first blushed and laughed. They now saw it not as weakness, but as the beginning of something new. Caleb looked at Elia. Did they just say I'm allowed to stay because I made you laugh? Laughter is rare in politics, she said with a smile. You gave them something honest. Well then, sweetie, he whispered with a grin. I guess I better keep being funny. She giggled. Yes, darling, you better. Later, a ceremony was held. Not a wedding, not yet, but a formal announcement of alliance. Caleb stood beside Elia as she placed a symbol on his robe, a glowing leaf of Zarella. It marked him as a guest of honor, a trusted friend of the royal family. From that day on, Caleb wasn't treated like an outsider. The guards nodded to him. The nobles greeted him. Children ran up to him in the streets, asking for stories about Earth. Elia arranged for a room in the palace to be filled with human books and music. Together, they shared both cultures. One evening, while sitting in the palace library, Caleb leaned back in his chair and sighed. So, what now? Elia looked up from a book. Now we learn. Learn what? How to build a bridge between our worlds. Sounds like a big job. You're not alone in it, she said. He smiled. That's all I needed to hear. He stood and walked toward the window. The moons of Zarella shined above the city, casting soft silver light. Behind him, Elia walked over and stood beside him. You know, Caleb said, the first time I said sweetie, I was nervous, and I was shocked, she replied. But I think that little word changed everything. She whispered. It brought laughter where there was silence. They looked at each other, both smiling. Good night, sweetie, he said. Good night, darling, she replied, and they laughed together once more, knowing this time the whole world was laughing with them. Weeks passed since the festival, and the kingdom of Zarella was no longer the same. A strange calm filled the land, not because danger was gone, but because something rare had taken root. Trust between two different worlds. And at the center of it all were Caleb and Leo. Caleb now spent his days as a guest teacher, helping the Alari people learn about Earth's ways. He taught young students how humans built homes, traveled in space, and even how they told silly jokes. He also listened to their stories of ancient Alari stars, floating cities, and of songs made with light and air every evening. He would return to the palace garden, and every evening Elia was there, waiting. How was your day, sweetie? She would ask. Full of new questions, Caleb would reply with a grin. Someone asked me today if humans eat rocks. Do you? She teased. Only when someone forgets to cook the food. And then they would laugh again, just like the first time. But peace did not sit quietly forever. One evening, the sky darkened. Faster than usual, loud sirens echoed from the palace towers. Elia and Caleb ran to the royal hall, where the king was already speaking with his guards. What's going on? Caleb asked. A foreign ship entered our skies, the king said. It is not Alari, and it does not answer our calls. Do you think it's a threat? Elia asked. We don't know, but we must be ready. Caleb stepped forward. Maybe. I can talk to them. The king looked at him. You know, the ways of other humans, not the ones of this unknown ship. Maybe. But I've learned to listen, and sometimes that's what matters most. After a short pause, the king nodded. Very well. Go with the guards. Approach with care. The alien ship was large, black, and shaped like a giant arrowhead. It hovered over the outer field, silent but glowing with strange red lights. Caleb approached with 2 Alari guards. The ramp lowered, and 3 figures stepped out. They were tall, their armor dark and polished, their eyes hidden behind metal masks. "I'm Caleb of Earth," he said clearly. "This is Zarella. We welcome peace." The lead figure spoke with a low voice. "You are human. Yes, you're... Stand with these people." "Yes, they saved me. I stayed to help them." A long pause followed. Then the alien removed his helmet, revealing greenish skin and eyes like mirrors. "We are travelers," he said, "from the system of Vorin. We seek no war, only a place to rest and trade." Caleb turned to the guards. "Tell the king they're peaceful." Hours later, after talks and shared food, the Varan ship was welcomed into Zarella's airspace. Traders walked through the markets. Children gathered to see the strange new guests. Once again, the people saw that opening the gate didn't always bring danger, could bring new friends. That night, Delia stood beside Caleb on the palace balcony. "You did it again," she said. Double quotes, "What?" "You stopped fear with a few words." "I just said what needed to be said, and you said it kindly." He looked at her. "Do you think this is how peace really begins?" She nodded. "Not with power, but with patience. Not with loud voices, but with small laughs and gentle words." They sat on a bench beneath the stars. The moons of Zarella glowed above them. Soft music drifted from the garden below. "I've been thinking," Caleb said, "about what? About staying, not as a guest, but as someone who truly belongs here." Elia looked at him, her eyes soft. "You already do." He took her hand gently.
Elia!
"I never expected any of this. I came here by mistake, but now this place feels more like home than anywhere else." "You are not a mistake," she said. "You were meant to be here." They sat in silence, holding hands, listening to the night, and then Caleb smiled and whispered, "Hey, sweetie." She blushed, just like that first day, and replied, "Yes, darling." They laughed together again, but this time it was different. It wasn't just a joke between 2 strangers. It was the sound of 2 hearts that had crossed galaxies to find each other. Later, a small statue was placed in the palace garden. It showed 2 figures, one human, one Alarius, sitting beside each other, laughing. Beneath it were the words, "Friendship begins with one honest word," and a little laughter.